From Wakefield, it's the Ice-T Meme Show star Noel Dog inviting you to join Noel Dog and his guest this week, Stone Freeman, for the season 1 finale of the show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Noel Dog.
And welcome back to the Ice-T Meme Show season 1 finale episode with Stone Freeman as my guest. Before I bring him on, let's go back to a segment I always do on the show weekly called What Happened This Past Week with Noel Dog. And this past week, a whole lot of fucking shit happened. So without further ado, let us get to the news. It was announced last week that future basketball Hall of Famer and star of Space Jam 2, LeBron James, is now part of the Red Sox ownership group. After grabbing the Celtics by the balls in the palm of his hand the last 15 years, he's now going to be able to get another Boston team to call him daddy. Boomch. It was made public thanks to photos that Prince Philip has been discharged from the hospital after a month-long stay and heart procedure recently. Whatever the doctors are doing to stuff Philip up to keep living, Trump should do the same after his first public outing since CPAC. Prince Philip looked more scared leaving the hospital in front of all the press than a Hot Cheetos girl with an empty bag. Boomch. In a bizarre set of events, Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson has been accused of sexual assault by a former massage masseuse this past week. Now, as I'm recording this, it's 7. Watson hasn't taken this many L's since earlier this past season. Boomch. And some interesting news. Once again, Bill Burr has caught some flack again after his Grammy speech last week in reference to gender pronouns, Spanish last names, and feelings. Canceling Bill Burr is like getting politicians down south to allow women to get abortions. It'll never happen in our lifetime. Boomch. And some happy sports news, future NFL Hall of Famer Drew Brees is officially retired after 15 years on the field, and coincidentally, it was 15 years to the day that he signed with the Saints. Now Brees can be racist off the field and not get caught. In some big political news, President Biden had his first State of the Union address as president last week as he spoke about vaccination goals for the country, amongst many things. Biden's speech was like days of our lives. I got bored 5 minutes into it and switched the channel to Impractical Jokers, or what Antifa calls Fox News. Just kidding. I don't watch the real version of Human Centipede on television. I got better things to do. Boomch. And some interesting news. President Biden said in his address that all adults over 18 will get the vaccine no later than May 1st. Hearing that all the third-generation Trump fans got their shots immediately, seeming to forget that they just made fun of Biden like he was the kid with Down syndrome all the popular kids at school made fun of. Boomch. St. Patrick's Day was the other day as millions of fake Irish people celebrate by drinking Bud Light seltzers, the least Irish drink one can have. Italian people celebrating St. Patrick's Day are like Devin Nunes complaining about a fake Twitter account making fun of him. It's a bit of a head scratcher seeing as he attacked our current president many times. Some music news, entertainment superstar Beyonce has officially won 28 Grammys, which ties her for the record with producing legend Quincy Jones. Beyonce has won so many Grammys, she's like the Celtics and Lakers had a child who starred in the third best Austin Powers movie. It's being reported that J-Lo and A-Rod reportedly split up after 2 years together. I don't know what's more weird, A-Rod dancing to her music at the Super Bowl or J-Lo almost marrying someone who was once with someone who voiced Princess Fiona. Some relieving news, music star Billie Eilish has officially ditched her classic neon hair for a more classic blonde hair color. I, for one, am enthralled with this, as she no longer looks like one of those markers that you could smell the flavor in elementary school. YouTube superstar David Dobrik has issued an apology in regards to accusations of him raping and sexually assaulting a female member of the Vlog Squad. Watch, he'll be asking all those people that won his stupid Tesla giveaways for the car back so he can pay for the lawyers to cover this up down the road. And some typical right-wing news, a picture was taken of the U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, John Kerry, being spotted flying without a mask recently. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but the ones talking about this one-time occurrence are the ones who support the man who said injecting yourselves with bleach will help kill off the virus. Some comical news, the Chicago Bears signed Andy Dalton instead of Russell Wilson. Guess when you lose your starting quarterback instead of signing an actual, decent quarterback, you can only get someone who doesn't win a playoff game in their career in Andy Dalton. And finally, in some exciting news for kids under 14 and those odd 30-year-old couples who go each year, Walt Disney announced they plan to open its 2 parks in California on April 30th after they were closed for a year. I'm glad that Walt Disney will be joining the list of super spreaders and cause everyone to tweet that they had the virus purely out of Twitter clout. That's happened this past week in the news with No Dog, because a lot of fucking shit just happened. Stay with us. We'll be right back with our season 1 finale episode and our guest for this week, the one and only, the amazing, wonderful Stone Freeman. Bye. Today is Wednesday, the 17th, Thursday, the 18th of March, 2021, which means we're back for an edition of this program, the Ice-T and Meme Show with yours truly, Noel Dog. Today we have a very special episode as it's the season 1 finale, and being that's the end of the season, I thought of no perfect way to finish this season with the biggest guest I could think of as I think, and as I'm sure other people think, he's the Don Corleone of Rhode Island College sports broadcasting. He's one of a kind. He took time out of his busy day and week to come on. He's the one and only Stone Freeman. Thank you for doing this and helping me with this project. It means a lot.
Oh yeah, no, that was a very kind introduction. Thank you very much. I'm always happy to help out, and I appreciate those kind words. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, of course. I forget what it was. I don't know. I'm on the club tennis team. And there's a kid who on there who works for the Anchor Sports, and he does some of the in studio radio station for the basketball. Zach Austin, I think his name is, and he says he knows who you are, and I was like, oh yeah, he's a great guy and all that stuff, and he's really great at what he does. And I said because he was saying, oh, I don't know if I can go over and say hi to him and all this stuff. And I said, he's one of a kind. He's great. I remember the first day I had met you was at the Good 5 Cent Cigar meeting my freshman year, and everyone was there, and you had Beta Nolan himself, because I'm the Alpha Nolan.
That's right.
Nick Cardy and his slick back haircut, and you had everyone else there, and me, and then obviously everyone's you're big up there on the pedestal, and everyone else is there, and then next thing you know, oh, hello, great job, keep going to work, and that meant the world. So I felt repay the favor of some sort, because he's always showing respect, which is key in life. You want to show respect, you never want to be too high up, but it's been a while since we've seen each other, since I mean, it's not like we were socializing up, but what's been up in your life since and sort of stuff? How's it been for trying to maintain this pandemic life?
Yeah, this has been difficult. But I get a master's degree upcoming now, so I guess there's that. Yeah, I get that in a couple months. So that's been the big thing, and still working. URI football is playing in the spring this year, so I'll be doing some games with them. Just keep them busy, dude. That's what you got to do right now. You have to keep busy. You can't let yourself get too bogged down. So but yeah, I think everybody's we're all in the same boat to a certain degree, right? You got to try to tread water here for a bit, and then hopefully normalcy is right around the corner, and I think July 4th is kind of that date that everybody's talking about. When we'll be back to normal, and hopefully the vaccines get rolled out, and we can all be together again. But this is it's been a different time for all of us, for sure.
Yeah. Before this whole thing started over a year ago, what was life for you like? I should say, was there any big projects or big things that you were heading towards before this whole thing started?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was working partly as a master's student still back then, a year ago, and also working with athletics at the University of Rhode Island in like a graduate type of role. Minimal, it was just working with sports information, but really just hands-on experience and working with people that are really good to me, and at a university I really love. So that's where I was, and then the world obviously stood still now for a while, and I'm back at URI in a different capacity, in terms of now I just do it anytime they need a guy to do play-by-play, I'll do it. So I did a lot of women's basketball this year, which was a blast. The team was great. Did a couple men's basketball games. I'll do some football games, and that's been that. Before I was doing, the fall of 2019, I had done volleyball, I'd done some men's and women's soccer. So just getting my hands in and involved with as much as I can, and keeping busy again. That's kind of been my mantra, is somewhere in between, one day at a time, but also doing and trying to fill as much as you can into that 24-hour window that you're given, because you don't know if you get another one tomorrow. So in whatever 24 hours I have today, in that moment that's in front of me, I try to capitalize and do as much as I can.
Is that sort of how you've been keeping your sanity and mentally, during this whole time, trying to do as much as you can that's available?
Yeah, you have to kind of find a perfect balance. You have to balance between doing as much as you can, but not getting to the point where you're overworking yourself or you're burning yourself out. Because it's easy to be on both ends of the spectrum. It's easy to be not so much lazy, because everybody's got a lot going on, so it's not laziness, but it's easy to fall into this track of like, one day without doing anything turns to two, turns to a week, and then you're falling behind. And also, there's a way that you don't have to get everything done in your day. You can kind of find that middle ground, and that's even before the pandemic. That's something that I always strove for. for. But now with everything and the challenges and the way that life has really changed over the last couple months, has allowed me to kind of take a step back and realize that day by day is the only way, because you can't control a week from now, you can't control a week ago, but you can control the exact moment in front of you, and those moments will add up.
Now, I mean, obviously, it's you can't deny it or be blind to it, but there's been a lot of, as I'm sure you've noticed, and there's been a lot of divide nationally within this country, especially with everything that's happened recently, with the pandemic and stuff, and the virus and shots and stuff, and it's sad, and that in the sense that it's become such a big political movement in that scenario. But a year later, clearly there's been work done to try to get us back to normal, which is what a lot of people want. What's your takeaway from this whole issue where people still seem to have a big problem with everything going on?
I mean, the thing is, you're never going to be able to please everybody, and I think that's a politics thing, and I think that's just a life thing. And again, if I fall back on the same way that I'm looking at things, it's not trying to change people's opinion. It's trying to see people for who they are outside opinions. And obviously, there's some stuff that you can't unsee, and there are people that have done things that you can't undo. But for the most part, though, it's trying to look at everybody as just a human being, and what is in the best interest of them. And it sucks that I think it took us to a global pandemic to get to that point, or at least for myself personally, I shouldn't speak for everybody, but to get to that point where you just go, man, but that's really what it is. It's about loving who you are, loving the people that you love, and not letting anybody kind of get in the way of that. That's an important piece that again, we're not going to figure out everything overnight. We're not going to figure out every problem actually ever, because everybody's always good. Humans are complex. And when we try to specify and control and too much of that, we get all wound up. It's easy to, because of so much in the world right now. So just I find myself grounding myself every once in a while and taking a look around and just going, okay, does this really matter? Do we really need this? And if I don't need it, then I believe, you just do what you can, and you only control what you can. Nobody's Superman, and even Superman didn't control everything.
Obviously this is going to have, an expiration date of sorts, whenever that may be. What do you hope to get away from this personally? And what do you hope, everyone in general takes away from this experience?
Well, I hope everybody takes away that, the things that really matter. I mean, to me, it's been family, it's been friends, and it's been, to a certain degree, having a good time, and enjoying while you're here, enjoying who you're with. That is always has been so important. But now more than ever is to just take away with you that we're in no rush. We're in no rush. I say it all the time. It's a small example, but I've stopped beeping my horn in my car. I mean, there's just no, that it's not going to speed the guy up in front of you. If he cuts you off, he cuts you off. Like I get it. And I'm not telling everybody they have to do it, but that's been my little takeaways is I stopped beeping the horn now, because we're all in a rush, but as long as I get to where I got to go safely, that's the most important.
As long as you get to point B from point A, that's all that.
That's it.
That's all that matters. Because we're on the same boat. Now, like I said earlier, the big time broadcaster and radio and whatnot for college sports. And everyone likes to ask that to people who've been successful at something like that. Where they're like, oh, this is always what you want to do and stuff like that. But when you were at a young age, and obviously, there's more important things people worrying about at 8 years old, 9, 10 years old, like picking their nose and stuff like that. But this right now, broadcasting and doing radio and play-by-play, was this something when you were younger, like, what, that's what I'm doing, and I'm setting my life's path onto that, journey?
I think when I was a kid, I probably wanted, to be somewhere in acting and kind of performance. And I'm also the first to admit, though, that I was not like a theater guy. I was not, in plays as a kid. I wasn't. I always liked to kind of be present, and again, it's my own opinion. So I think others might have different ones of it, but not so much the center of attention, but I never shied away from being open and being honest and being who I was. And I think that translated over time, because I got to high school and that's when I knew it. Sports were never my forte. I'm probably a little bit more athletic than I give myself credit for, but there was no way I was making a high school. I mean, I went to Bishop Hendricken, but even if I went to my public high school, there's no way I was making those teams. I just wasn't. That wasn't, who I was. I certainly was not the most athletic person, but I loved them, and I'd watch everything. And then it probably hit me my middle school days. I started watching the Red Sox all the time. I'd watch Red Sox, and Don Orsillo, just kind of the way that he did it, and it was always in the back of my mind. I was like, that'd be really cool. And then I got to high school, and again, I tried to get involved with as much as I could. In my sophomore year, Hendricken had started a sports network, and I've always said it, the rest is history. Literally, that completely changed the course of what I did. And I got to URI, and wasn't known for sports journalism or anything of that nature, but I just hit the ground running, and I did things. I got a really good group of people around me. We had so many students, and a lot of them that you've already alluded to: Cardi, Jack O'Mara, Nolan, Kev Weiner, all these kids. Will Pip, who was, I think, is Will your age, or is he your younger than? So there was this great group of kids that had come through that were so interested in sport. I focused on the sports side, but the cigar was a great resource too. I mean, I was the sports editor there, and getting to work with other people that were just interested in journalism, doing stuff like this, podcasting and things of that nature, was excellent. And you hit the ground running, and now there's no, would I say I'm going to do it forever? No, I really don't. I get bored really easy, and this is not boring, but like, I want change. So I got to get a job before I can say, I'll move on from it. But I think I'd like to do this for a while, and then just I don't know, I find something else in maybe 10 or 15 years. I think there's a lot of people that live, breathe, and drink it, but again, I'm a simple guy. And just to be at a game and broadcasting is what I want to do. So if I do that for 10 years, that's it. There's nothing better than it. Nothing better than it.
I'm surprised it's like you saying that you watched the games when you were younger. I'm surprised you stuck through 8 hours of a Red Sox game at the age of 8.
I love baseball. I've always said that, because a lot of people will tell you, oh man, I can't watch it. And I don't fault them. It is a boring game, but I can watch to this day. I can watch an entire baseball game, every pitch, and I can sit through it. I love going to Fenway Park or to it in person, but I really can. I can watch it on TV. And will I fizzle out in about the 5th inning? Yeah, of course. I think we all kind of do. But if I'm on my phone and I say, they're about to tie it up, or hey, this is a big inning, I get to the TV, or now you can get it on apps and stuff like that. And wherever I am, I will try to watch baseball.
Now, I mean, compared to how you mentioned you started the sports network at in high school, and compared to now going through college and now out of it, where's the question? What was it like developing that your brand, and then seeing it succeed and really take off both professionally and personally?
Yeah, well, I think professionally, the thing is, I quickly realized, and I still have to remind myself now, because I mean this, and I'm not saying this just to sound over the top. I mean it. I don't view what I do as extraordinary. It's really not. It is fun. It is fun. I tell my friends that all the time. If I have to go to work, or if I always refer to it as, I have a broadcast tonight. I don't have to work tonight. I have a broadcast tonight. There are people that have to work every day that are literally and metaphorically heroes and saving people and stuff like that. I don't do that. And to a certain degree, that is something that eats at me, not so much professionally, but personally, is that there's a lot of this stuff that's cool, that's awesome. And you get the Twitter likes, and you get the Facebook comments, and you get all this and that. But really, what are you doing? And that doesn't mean I don't like it, but that just means that I look at it from a different perspective. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun. I don't take criticism. The only thing I will take criticism about is I want to make sure I pronounce players' names right, because that's somebody's name, and somebody's name is important to somebody that's listening to the game, so it's important to me. But other than that, though, it is. And professionally, what happened is when I got to college, I didn't realize how many people were following me, and it just started to expand a little bit, and Twitter became a big thing for me. And I loved, of course, I know there's science behind it, like the clicks and the retweets and stuff like that. They give you that, it's like that happiness feeling, right? And to a certain degree, it is chaotic, because Twitter should not be providing that much to me, but it's more the message behind it. It's developing relationships with people, and that's why URI has been great to me. And a lot of people in the state of Rhode Island, I got people that follow me, and they interact with me all the time, and I never meet them, but when you do meet them, you go, oh, you're from Twitter, right? And you sit there and go, it's like you know them. And
Yeah.
that's something I didn't realize was such an impact. So growth was big. And what I did was I kind of gambled on myself, and I just said, I'm going to throw myself out there a little bit more. I'm not the most a lot of people think I'm very self-confident. I'm not. I've never been. I never have been. But I put myself out there in a way that is respectable and honest, and I appreciate everybody that interacts with me. So once I get to see them and interact with them, that's kind of the good stuff.
Now it kind of, preludes back to that, or I shouldn't say preludes back to that, but obviously once you then are known for something, Twitter or whatever it is, how do you maintain that level of, not I don't say notoriety, but high level of maintenance of work?
I think, because maintenance is big, maintaining relationships are big, maintaining image is big, but it's also just about doing the right thing. And that's something that, again, I only speak for myself, but that's something that I think I do. I think I do that. I keep a pretty, the way that I do things. I'm a goofy guy, so I let that show through, right? I'm very lighthearted. I let that show through. I'm very appreciative. I let that show through. So when it is your authentic self, it's tough to turn off because it's just who I am.
Yeah.
So every morning there's a need to, whether it be the little things, if I call somebody just to say hello, or if I put something on Twitter about something I'm going through, right? It's about being, and you don't have to, but
Yeah.
you have to be willing to, there is no on and off switch. When I'm on air, it's me. I mean, am I a little bit more? Yeah, I get that all the time. My mom, my best friend's mom will always say to me, she'll see me do something. She'll say, man, they don't get to see the Stone that comes over here and is joking around and is hiding in the corner and jumping out at me when I'm getting out of the bat. And it's like, no, but you know what? They do get to see that to a certain extent, because when I'm on air, I'm laughing, I'm having fun.
Oh, yeah.
When something serious happens, I got to buckle down, right? If a player gets hurt, you have to take that serious, right? If there's a big momentum swing in a game, you have to take that serious. But at the end of the day, it's fun. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's not work, and it's who I am. So it's a good mix.
Without good work or being good at something, you got to put obviously preparation to it, whatever level you're at. And I obviously put preparation to this or whatever it may be. And I remember prior to COVID, you'd always would share something of all your notes on before the game would start. And what's that like for yourself, both physically and mentally preparing for a game, whether it's big or it's just a regular season game?
What I remind myself, no matter what I do, because I've done a lot of high school now too, because View, who works with URI to broadcast their games, will ask me to do high school games. And what I realized is the power that you do have of that might be the only time somebody's on TV, even at the highest level of college basketball. There are some players that is the only time that a broadcaster is saying their name. And there is power behind that. So what I do is I try to treat every game. Now, there are games that I will be more naturally excited for. The first game under lights at Meade Stadium, I was ecstatic for. A men's basketball game against VCU, the women's basketball team, this stretch where they were closing out and they secured a double bye in the Atlantic 10 tournament. Those are so fun. But what you do is you kind of got to get yourself where you prepare so much that you've developed relationships where you don't want to, not so much develop relationships, but you develop a relationship with the teams that you're broadcasting that day, to the point where you want to get everything right. Doesn't mean you've ever met any of these people, but you want to get the stuff right. And then I did those since the pandemic. I've come off the gas pedal a bit, and I don't share a lot. I'll put some of my notes on Twitter and stuff now, but my notes don't look the same right now. There's a lot of columns and stuff I just leave blank because, and I'll give you this quick story. There's a story, Mike Gorman, who's the play-by-play guy for the Celtics, and Tommy Heinsohn, who just passed away this year or last year. Tommy and Mike had done games forever, right? And the first time they'd done a game together, Tommy's this Hall of Fame coach and player, and Mike's a little intimidated, and he sits down with him. He's got all of his notes everywhere. And Tommy crumbled the notes and threw them. And Mike was, that's a sin in broadcasting. If I take time to write those notes, no one's touching them. And I can only imagine what Mike Gorman's thinking. But now you have this Hall of Famer that throws them away. And he pretty much says, we're going to talk. He says to Mike, we're going to talk about what's in front of us. And that's it. So what I do is I come prepared with stats and stories. But largely I have this year when I did women's basketball primarily, I called in with 3 different people. Jack O'Mara, who I went to high school with, college with, Tyler Davey, who I grew up with, and then Shane Donaldson, who's inevitably kind of when I was working in the sports information department, he's an associate athletic director. And all these 3 men, though, I have great relationships with. So what I focus then on is the chemistry that we have. And if we're having fun, and if the stuff that's happening in front of us is important, what I can bring to the table. And normally it's just letting people know you can throw nuggets and stories. I love that stuff, but you don't have to stress out over it. At the end of the day, it's fun.
Okay, well, now I don't know if you're able to do it on your phone, but usually when I do my show halfway at the second segment, I play some videos and I have people react to them. So I don't know if it work on your phone, but I'm gonna share this.
I think it should.
Yeah, then let's go to cancel that. Let's go to Google. Do that. Share.
Yep, I got you.
And then here we go. And then just give me a thumbs up if you can hear it, okay?
Good morning, Julia. It's me, Joe. Just wanted to say hi. Wish you a great day. Tell you that meeting you yesterday and getting a look at you was probably one of the greatest moments of my life. You were so beautiful. You don't know how beautiful you are to me. I mean, just, you're gorgeous. You're precious. And but it's been sitting in my mind when you said to me you want to go back with your ex-boyfriend. Please erase him from your memory. Don't ever go back in the past. I know, because I've been there. And I understand when, you're trying to find somebody and you go on dates and nothing compares to your ex. But there is that better person out there. And Julia, I promise you it is me. I will love you like you've never been loved before. I will cherish you. I'll make you feel like a woman, a real woman. And believe me, after you experience me, you won't even know who your ex-boyfriend is. So, open up your heart to me in your arms. Let's go full throttle. I could see me falling in love with you. I don't know, I just looked in your eyes and I just melt. Anyhow, I'm heading off to work. This is my cute little home. Everything you see behind me, I built everything. Every square inch, from crown molding to chair rail, to floors, to lighting, to plumbing, doors, windows. So this is the type of guy you're getting. I'm a very handy guy, and I'd love to build you whatever you want. You're a sweetheart. So I hope this video doesn't scare you, but that's how I feel. I just want you to know that. Okay? And I look forward going out to dinner with you. So let's make it happen. Mwah. Ciao, baby.
So this guy, his name is what was his name? Joe. Yeah, that's what it was. Obviously, it says in the video. And he's a handyman. And I guess I found this video on this podcast I listened and watched called Your Mom's House, and it's got this comedian couple who runs it. And what happened was this guy is going to the gym, working out. He sees this attractive girl, like anyone, like you or I would see if we're working out Facitelli or whatever the hell it might be. And he's like, holy shit, she's fucking attractive. He pays so much attention to who she is by finding her name on the sign-in sheet, follows her outside, says, hey, I think you're gorgeous. I'd like to take you out to eat. And she goes, well, maybe not. I'm thinking about getting back with my ex. And he's like, oh, don't do that. And then he's like, oh, can I get your number? Maybe. Fine. Okay. Normal thing. Takes her phone, puts it in. Instead of hitting enter, he clicks the phone little logo, the green phone, and calls it. So it has it on his phone without having to enter and text her first. And he texts her this video. Now, I think this guy's got some pretty big balls by doing this. I don't know what you think, but it's a pretty ballsy move. What are your thoughts on this guy?
Well, the best part is the good morning, Julia thing.
Yes.
I would say though, his goatee is about the only thing I can get behind. Other than that, I'm not doing this. This makes for really good material for exactly what we're doing. You can hop on the internet, you see it, and then you send it to like 4 of your buddies because you're like, check out this guy. Just wild. And I've seen this video on social media before too. So that's why I was laughing too. I was like, you pulled it out of the back of my memories because I could just, it's almost like if you got likes on Twitter, right? There's like, I wouldn't like something like this, but you mentally put it into a category of like memes and videos that like you can just pull out and talk about to somebody. And largely the other thing is you have to show somebody this video because you explain this to somebody, they don't laugh. You show them the video and then it becomes enjoyable. So this is a weird way to try to pick somebody up.
That's what happened. Then the girl got it through text and she showed her friends, and then she's like, oh, don't do anything about it. And then they shared it all with their friends and it became a meme. And then he sent her this one.
want to say good morning, Julia, my flower, my precious, my soon-to-be, my everything. Have a great day, love. Mwah.
He censored that, and then I think she just blocks him afterwards off of everything. Says, "You know what? Screw this." And
I think that's probably the safe bet when you get two videos like this from a random guy you met in the parking lot.
And he's in his probably late 30s, early 40s, and it's sad because the thing is, this is definitely totally gross and weird and really uncomfortable. And the only thing funny about this is that he thinks that this is normal and completely acceptable. And it started off fine, complimenting how pretty she was and stuff like that, and how he liked seeing her, and that was great and nice and stuff. And then it just jumps off the fucking deep end. And he's like, well, man, I wouldn't do it. I don't know about you. You probably wouldn't do it either. Now, I mean, you've seen this video before, but on the cool guy scale, Mr. Stone Freeman, 1 being not cool, 10 being the coolest, what would you give him?
I'm gonna go not cool. I think it's a weird thing to do. It probably made Julia very uncomfortable.
Yes.
So I'm going with a 1 or maybe a half a point. I'm not getting behind Joe. I'm not getting behind Joe.
Well, if you thought that one was weird, get a load of this one.
Is it still Joe?
No, different guy.
Time to wake up, my queen. Come on, my queen above 18. Open them beautiful eyes. There you go. You are so beautiful. I just love my queen above 18. Well, good morning. All right, my queen. I'll go down and put your breakfast on. I'll get you some nice hot cup of coffee. You go take your shower, and I'll meet you in the kitchen. I love you too, my queen above 18. I will see you in a little bit. Yes, you look beautiful. All right, I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Well, this guy's name is Steve, and I found him off of TikTok, but he was also on the same podcast that they showed the Julia video. He's in his late 50s, 60s. He's a truck driver in Ohio. And his line is, "Good morning, kings and queens above 18," prefacing the 18 part. He likes to do a lot of motivational videos saying how beautiful girls are, how attractive, and getting the motivation to get those feet out of bed and make that train run. And that's what it is. He's got merch. He's got sweatshirts and tank tops and hats and cups that say Kings and Queens of 18, K and Q on the side. It costs a fucking lot of money. You got to DM him through his email, PayPal, Venmo. Then you give him all of your information, then your social security number, and then after that, you give him some blood. No, not that part, but no, he asked for all this stuff. He's a weird guy. And the thing is about the other guy too, as well, is that it's the same thing. It's completely fucking gross. Don't get me wrong about that, and pardon my French, but to think that this is normal and acceptable is comical. And you'll find videos on his TikTok page with girls like making videos with him. I'm like, oh yeah, they want to come say hi and this stuff, and they look like they're about to get you know what by this guy, and it's definitely weird. I had an interaction with him. Someone made a video on TikTok where they said, oh yeah, this makes me feel creepy, and he reacted to the comment, and he's like, oh, what does this mean, making them feel creepy? And I said, making them feel creepy is when a 60-year-old guy asks for weird videos, because then he'll ask you to Snapchat him at your parties and stuff and what you're doing. And I said, 60-year-old guy asking girls for these videos is kind of fucking creepy. Don't get me wrong. And he was, oh, what's this guy saying? I got pornography on my mind. Fuck this guy. You got to go on his page and do stuff. And yeah, he keeps doing that stuff, and he's got a big following. On the scale of 1 to 10, Mr. Stone Freeman, on the cool guy scale, what would you give him?
Same thing. Strange video, strange thing to have on the internet.
Oh,
so
yes.
I think I'll give him a half a point. Just
half a point.
Not my cup of tea.
Nope. It's not. Well, this next one you'll get a hopefully a better kick out of. You might have to turn up the volume for this one because he kind of mumbles and talks. But here he is.
What up, YouTube? It's Big Val. Bitches be stomping on my knob. I'm back here again. We're gonna do a review, a drink review. I've had this drink before. but I figured that I review it to let others know what I think about it. So, Mountain Dew USA. It's actually really good. It's 3 flavors collided together: Code Red, Rideout, and Voidage. So, pop this baby. Here we go. Like I said, I've tasted this before, but I'm gonna actually tell you like what I like about it and stuff. So here we go. Pinky up. It's fucking delicious. Like I said, it's one of my faves. It's like, it's a fruity flavor. It's just fucking good. It's fucking banging. I have another taste. Pinky up. That's good. But yeah, I fucking love it. It's tasty as shit. Go get you some. It's Mountain Dew USA.
This is Big Rob. He does a lot of review. He hasn't posted on YouTube in a while. He does a lot of UFC food review type things, and this is his video. And he wants to preface that it's fucking delicious. But he has had it before. But now that I'm watching it again, it's kind of like you're self-broadcasting sports. He's play by playing the drink and how it tastes, although he's had it before, and he gives us his creme de la creme final topping. Like Mike Breen says, bang. He says it's fucking delicious. I think he's a pretty cool guy. He makes me want to go out and get Mountain Dew, although I don't like it. On the cool guy scale, 1 to 10, Mr. Stone Freeman, what do you give him?
See, this guy was not creepy to me.
Yes.
Just like you're kind of alluding to. He's just having fun. Looks, maybe the background could be a little different.
Yes.
I'm a big stickler, especially when technology is so advanced. Maybe get a little bit of a, what a Zoom, you can put your own background behind. Maybe you could invest in that. Other than that, though, not hurting anybody, not creeping anybody out, just enjoying a damn Mountain Dew. Yeah, I'll give him a 10. He was cool.
There you go. Cool. Yeah,
he's enjoying himself, and I can't judge him for that.
I like the unfinished basement look with the 2x4s above him.
Well, he could make it work. It's just he probably needs to center himself a little bit. But no, he's not bothering anybody, and looks like he's got a pretty good following here. I mean, 500 people are watching his reviews. How many subscribers? I'd say 600 of them almost. 593. So hey, he's got people that care about him. He's having fun. So I can't judge that.
Let's go to the next video. Let's see what this one is.
Hey, Twitter
shoot!
world.
Sorry, my bad.
Me,
my bad. It's OJ
Mahomes.
Mahomes. Shoot, my bad. Oh, just OJ Mahomes. Do you follow OJ on Twitter?
I don't, but I've seen it enough because I see people always interacting with his Twitter account.
Did you see? For someone who's not verified, he's pretty impressive. Now this next clip is one of our favorite show of mine. I know it's a favorite show of yours. It's the one and only The Sopranos, and one of my favorite actors on it.
Open the door. Any hinky shit, you'll be refrying beans with Pablo Escobar again.
Don't even drive out to Jersey. Not even on Sundays. They've been told. Twice. Now I'll tell them.
Juan Valdez has been separated from his donkey.
What kind of Molignans are these? They call themselves gangsters.
It's a new fucking day.
Fucking depressing.
This time I think a fucking little Paris.
Like you were ever in Paris, Paul.
I went over for a blowjob. Your mother was working the bonbon concession at the Eiffel Tower. So, did you hear what I told him? Told him I went over for a blowjob. Your mother was working the bonbon concession at the Eiffel Tower. Fucking Italian people. How do we miss out on this? What? Fucking espresso, cappuccino. We invented this shit. And all these other cocksuckers are getting richer.
Yeah, isn't it amazing?
And it's not just the money. It's a pride thing. All our food. Pizza, calzone, buffalo mozzarella, olive oil. These fucks had nothing. They ate puzzi before we gave them the gift of our cuisine.
That video is like 3 minutes long, and I'm not going to play the whole thing. but and we can discuss a little bit briefly later. But I have a deep spot in my heart for that show, and I know you do as well. And there's something about him, and obviously the show wouldn't go over nowadays with Me Too and all the stuff, and you see what's happening with Deshaun Watson now. But it's something about Paulie Walnuts and how David Chase wrote the program that made it so unique and different, and such a great show. But he's one of a kind, and thank God that he was in that role. He
is one of the most developed characters in the show. Tony obviously takes the cake. Tony's character development and his character is excellent, but Paulie Walnuts is I think, if I'm not going to spoil, there's no spoilers here, but because it's a mob thing, so people do die in the show, but the way that let's put it this way, I will say one spoiler. Obviously, Paulie doesn't end up getting whacked. He's not any of the ones that ends up becoming, runs into anybody and looks him the wrong way. I know he's got some problems. He tries to go with the New York family there with old Carmine for a bit, and it doesn't end up working out for him when he comes out of prison. Long story short, though, his development, him and Sil, really, the two of them are absolutely incredible. Even Bobby Bacala, to a certain degree, going from the son of a big time mobster, and then Karen in her last big ZD, and then his junior's driver, and then obviously what happens to Bobby happens to Bobby. It's a pretty big story. It's a pretty big storyline that you have to follow. I love Paulie's character.
He's definitely not. This next one, I'll play a few seconds of this one as well, but it's one of my other favorite ones.
Boy, Anthony must have really gotten under your collar. Admit it. You're looking at the crackers Corleone for putting you in here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I'm playing shortstop for the Mets.
We want Johnny Sack. But more than him, we want Mangano and Teresi.
I want to fuck Angie Dickinson. See who gets lucky first. You were gone a long time. How many White Castle did you have?
I didn't, I swear.
I can smell them. A Chinaman goes to see the eye doctor. After the exam, the doctor says, I know why you're having trouble. The Chinaman says, why? Doctor says, you have a cataract. The Chinaman says, no, I have a Lincoln Continental. You don't get it?
I get it. He drives a Lincoln. What?
Sad day.
Mm-hmm. Kid was always a dumb fuck, though, wasn't he? Didn't he almost drown in 3 inches of water?
The penguin exhibit.
You're not sick, but testing shows REM-wise you have 40 arousals per hour.
More since I met you. Such a thing to say.
Arousals mean a change in your stages of sleep. You are such a flirt.
Why didn't you just call a plumber?
With what? My fucking toes? I've been busy.
This is another character I like, Junior Soprano. Besides Paulie, Junior Soprano probably has my top spot on my list, only because, like Paulie, he can't go over nowadays in today's society.
I think Uncle June is I've talked about character development. He is one of the better characters in the show. And again, I won't spoil anything, but the way that he is completely panned out. And I'm really looking forward to the movie there, all the Many Saints in Newark, that has been pushed back like 6 different times now because of the pandemic and whatnot. But to see Junior and Tony's dad when they're young, but also Junior's him and Tony's relationship is one of the more complex, I think, in all of television history. It's a very complex relationship that you have to be able to kind of invest yourself. That's what Sopranos is a big show, because you have to invest yourself in it.
Yeah.
You really have to be able to see it out. You know what I mean? Just an incredible, I wouldn't even say cinematic, because that's obviously movie theater stuff, but just television gold is what it is.
Now, enough of the Sopranos and that other creepy shit I played. Here's some sports for you.
Jim, recruiting's hard in
love it.
exact science. But what does Gomes do that just blows you away now that you maybe no one saw?
You only go throughout the country of the guys that came and didn't go. I'm a genius. I took a Mecca over for it 100. It's the dumbest fucking question I've ever heard. I've explained it 1,000 times. I fucked up. I didn't take Ryan Gomes. Does that make you happy?
You fucked up.
Jesus Christ Almighty! It
I
took
just said it's not
18
an
months to
exact
sell the kid to Providence. It's been written about. It's been talked about. Don't shake your fucking head. If you ask a question, I'm telling you how I feel about it. I took a Mecca Okafor and Karan Butler. They're not bad. I can't take every player. We have 13 scholarships. When I saw him, he was 6'5", 265, 70 pounds. When he graduated, we took Karan. He then waited to get his SAT score in the spring. It took Wayne Simone 18 months to convince, and I believe is that a quote, I believe, by Tim Welch, to convince him to take the kid. Same thing Tim Welch saw, except we happened to get a Mecca, and they didn't. And we happened to get Karan, and they didn't. But I'm tired of talking about Ryan. I've just said he's one of the best players sitting in our league, and starting to look like one of the best players in the country. I don't know what else I can say. And if you want me to say I fucked up, I fucked up. Write it.
Definitely one of the more classic videos of all time, right up with the bowling guy who says, "Who's the man? I'm the man," and who I just recently retired. But it's definitely one of a kind. It's exactly like, or I shouldn't say exactly, but this video is similar to, or gets you riled up exactly the same. I would hopefully think like when Cooley and Dan Hurley would go at each other's throats back when Hurley was coaching at URI. It's definitely a interesting video, but here's one that I love a great deal. The guy's no longer alive. It's one that gets me going.
You have off the field. How are you able to keep focused on winning football games as you do and do throughout the years?
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.
He's one of a kind. There's been many great sports moments that we've witnessed. Obviously, you've been around longer than myself, so you witnessed more. But it's definitely interesting things. I want to go briefly back to The Sopranos quick. I did this with a friend of mine who loves The Sopranos last week. If you can, you don't have to if you can't. But top 5 favorite Sopranos characters.
Characters, number one's Uncle June, and I feel bad that I kind of went on that tangent about Tony before I even thought of Uncle June, because Uncle June is my favorite character. I think his development, I think again the relationship him and Tony, and also I'm going to say my 5 won't include Tony, just because Tony is the show really should be called Tony Soprano. Yeah. I mean he is the guy. So, but it's got to be Uncle June, and then probably Paulie. Christopher's character is really good, but I don't really know if I like him. I love Johnny Sack. Johnny Sack's character is really good. And again, the development there. Furio is a really good character. And Carmela. Carmela is probably number 2 behind Uncle June, actually. Carmela and when I say best, because it's kind of dark, because it's a sad episode. Oh, yeah. But the fight between her and Tony at the house is maybe the best acting I've ever seen. I mean, just absolutely, when she's throwing the stuff out the window and he comes upstairs and she divorces him. It is, oh my goodness, I get goosebumps thinking about that. I'll watch just that scene sometimes, because I haven't rewatched it yet, but I'll go and I'll Google the Tony. I think it's right around when they buy the beach house there. And it's like, oh my goodness, just absolute. And the fact that she is Tony's wife is like you think he's got problems in the show. She's dealing with all of it. I mean, she is it's her, Uncle June, Paulie, Furio, and who was the last one I said?
Johnny Sack. I
forget now. Johnny Sack, yes. Oh yeah, that's it probably.
If I had to say, I definitely would say Junior, and in no order. Junior, definitely Paulie's there. I'm a big Feach LaManna fan.
Feach is a great character.
I've grown to like him. Nothing sticks out of my mind when he tells a story about what he did with his shoes to the girls that one time with his the tip of his shoe, and that was definitely interesting. And who else? I'm a big secondary character fan, so I love Paulie Jr., Germani. And that whole scene where him and Eugene go at it at the work site, and he gets the Snapple across his face with the glass bottle.
Yep.
Phil Leotardo, another one of my favorite. He's got some
Phil Leotardo is a great character.
classic lines.
He's a great character.
I think his probably greatest scene was when he talks about compromising with Tony Soprano. He talks about eating grilled cheese off the radiator and wanting to do other male things. He's one of a kind. Or when he's reaming out his nephew because he's dressing all in goth and because Vito died. Or Or when I forget what the lady's name was, and he shoots the phone book and it makes it only to the R's, and she's sweating bullets. It's definitely a great thing. We briefly talked about the movie, the prequel. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it's out soon. Personally, they should have just released it online instead of waiting all this time just for cinematic release. But it's what it is. I personally, I was saying this last week. I think that it's definitely going to be. I feel as though if there was no COVID, it would have gone off with a bang. I think, but now I feel as though since it's been pushed off so much, it might get a different reaction. Although I definitely feel as though it'll still be good. Although I think they shouldn't even made it and should have just left just the Sopranos because it's something that you kind of leave untouched.
Oh yeah. Oh well, that's the thing. I mean, there's big shoes to fill. I mean, there's like, because I have a big group of friends, and there's like we're divided. Half of us like won't watch the show just because the other half only talks about the show.
Yeah.
And we have a secondary group chat of just the guys that watch The Sopranos. And that was the first thing that we talk about whenever, like, because we've talked about it a lot now because it's been pushed back a couple times. And I'll always say like, hey, we're all gonna watch it, but like, the bar we have set is high, really high for this movie. So it could flop in terms of, it could be a good movie, but just not what we're expecting. Or I think David Chase is in on it though, so I'm pretty sure it'll be good.
Yeah.
So
he's definitely leading the project, which is always good. You don't want to have something where someone else is trying to recreate it. That obviously, another connection between that is obviously URI sports, and both men's basketball, women's basketball, and football had a big last year, I should say. How do you assess though both the men's and women's program basketball speaking this past year during the entire pandemic?
I think first and foremost between the two of them, there was only one pause, and I can't confirm or really say for sure. I'm just looking at the timeline. I'm pretty sure they were false positives too, because women's basketball shut down, to use easy days. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they shut down on a Monday. They had to cancel some games during the week, but when they had gotten home from their trip, because they had tested positive on the road, it was all cleaned up and they were playing games, within 3 or 4 days. So to have that, and I'll also give credit to all the programs in the state of Rhode Island. Even Bryant had a couple pauses and they still made it to their conference championship. This was a really difficult year to navigate for everybody, right? And I know sports should take a backseat to a certain regard, but given the circumstances, and they played a season, to not have as many COVID problems as I think most people were expecting. For us, Rhode Island obviously is not in the NCAA tournament, but to have an NCAA tournament this year is saying a lot. And to have these two programs, have men's basketball obviously probably could have had a better year, but to have women's basketball have their best season in so long, and men's basketball to still be able to play 28 or 24 games in a season like this is something that they do deserve credit for.
How do you, speaking of the men's and how, they might not have reached the fan expectations or whatever you want to call expectations. How do you assess their struggles that they had this past season and then their off season prior to the season? Because they definitely were in local news quite a bit heading into the season.
Yeah, well, I mean, transfers were a big problem, both coming in and leaving. There was so much roster turnover, and that's difficult. That's really difficult. Never mind in a year with all these situations.
Yeah.
So it's a brand new starting five, pretty much. And again, I don't fault him because I think he battled like a son of a gun because he was really beat up. But Fats Russell just didn't have the year that I think Rhode Island needed him to. I shouldn't say what they wanted him to. I think they needed him to be the pillar. In some games, like that game against Dayton at home when the season was all but wrapped up, but they needed some momentum. There's a reason why they win that game in overtime or double overtime. I forget what it was now, but they go extra minutes, and it's because Fats Russell played at a division. I mean, at a first team All Atlantic 10 level. He gets third team, which I think is probably how he played. but Rhode Island needed him to be healthy and to play it. And that's why right now he's in the transfer portal and he's getting so many looks from big schools because he's a pillar and he's a guy that, I would have liked him to have a more successful senior season because he deserved it. And I'm not faulting him, but there is a regard. If he's not playing at the level he plays or that we're expecting him to, they're going to struggle. And I think we saw that this year.
There were a lot of big names from the team. One in particular being Tyrese Martin that transferred a handful of them. How do you assess how they, I mean, I don't know I'm sure you pay attention to a certain degree how they did, but end of the season thoughts for those who transferred in on other teams like Jacob Toppin and Martin and Mekhi Long. How do you think, was it a good move for them, or do you think they should have stayed?
Well, that's a great question. And I think it's a good question because I'm twofold on it because I put myself in their shoes too a little bit to a certain degree. And listen, I mean, they're entitled to that. They are. It's frustrating, but they're entitled to that as athletes and as human beings to do what they think is best for themselves. And then I'm sure their families are making decisions too. Jacob going to Kentucky, this is the first time in forever that Kentucky hasn't been in the NCAA tournament. I mean, that on paper is a great move to go from Rhode Island to Kentucky. I don't blame him. Same thing with Tyrese. I mean, it sucks because he's going to UConn and there's the Dan Hurley storyline and all that. But I mean, you get to play in the Big East Conference and have that many more eyeballs on you and that many more scouts looking at you. And that's where you got to go. But what it does do is it handcuffs small schools like the University of Rhode Island. And that's the problem right now that I think, and it's not just URI is going to face, but there's all these new transfer rules. And this year you can transfer now without having to sit out because of COVID and all that. And then seniors are getting a fifth year of eligibility right away. Like all this stuff is going to have an effect on small schools, and the ripple effect will affect Kingston, Rhode Island. So I didn't track them too much. I know UConn's in the tournament. Coach Hurley and I are really good friends, so I'm going to be rooting for them. I don't think I have them get too deep just because they got some work that they gotta do, but that's a great program that Dan turned around, and I have a lot of respect for him. I have a lot of respect for Tyrese. I haven't seen anything on Mekhi Long, to be honest, so I don't want to sound like I'm leaving him out, but I just didn't track him. I know he went to Old Dominion, a smaller school, so he's probably looking for some more minutes, which you don't fault them for. Again, that's a decision that they have to make as athletes.
Where does URI go from here to the men's program after this season? What do they do, in order to get back to their old form?
Well, they took some steps. They got this practice facility, up and off the ground at least. I think I did an interview with Thor, the AD, a couple weeks ago. They need $8 million and they have like 7.2 raised. So they are well ready to get this thing rolling. That's a big project, and that's something that the university might be behind on a little bit. I think they needed this earlier, but they're getting it. So that's fine. And they're going to transfer them, form West Gym. And this is something that you have to keep up with the times. And men's basketball there's no sense in hiding it. It's the bus driver sport. It's the sport that needs to be the most successful at the most amount of time. And hopefully we see that. I mean, I think football is kind of in the same boat, right? Like football did an investment into, turf and lights and all this last year, and they go 2-10 and there isn't underperformance. But this year now they're receiving votes in the top 25. They just beat the top 6 ranked team on the road. That's important. And that's the fruits of your labor, right? These are kind of the rewards you get are successful programs when you invest.
Cyril, a former player, I'm sure a fan favorite of yourself and mine, Jeff Down, part of the Lakeland Magic, just won the G League championship. And then you have Cyril playing overseas, I'm guessing pretty successful. Your thoughts between both of them, who do you feel as though will have the better of a career professionally between Jeff and Cyril?
Well, they're both in a unique category that I think we've seen a lot from a lot of these guys that Dan Hurley and David Cox recruited and coached, where they're not going to jump off the page at you. They're, Jared Terrell's the only one that really got all the way up to the NBA, which I know is where a lot of people look. But these guys, they're making money, and that's a big part of it is, they go overseas and that's bettering them. And a lot of them, it is a life-changing experience. You get a college degree, you don't have to pay for it. You get the memories, you get the spotlight, you go go on, and that's what you do for a career. I don't know who's going to have the better of him. I know Jeff, obviously, because he's in America, he's in the G League. He just won that championship. But Cyril is in. He was one of the, forget favorite player. He was one of my favorite human beings. And this is no disrespect to any of the other players, but Cyril was always the one that took the time to say hello to me, that knew me by name, that would sit down next to me before a game and just chat for a couple minutes. He was a goofy guy. We weren't having heart to hearts, but he'd sit down and bust my chops for a bit. And he used to call me Warwick boy. I look like I'm from Warwick. I didn't know we looked like something in Warwick, but I took it as a compliment. But I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for Jeff. I'm rooting for that whole group of guys: Andre Berry, E.C. Matthews, Jarvis Garrett, Jared Terrell, all these guys that did some great things at URI and now are playing professionally. So
we briefly mentioned, the women's program. They had a lot of turnover between last season and into this season. For you personally, you had a front row seat for a handful of the games this year. What was that like, though, seeing them finally get that success that they so desperately needed?
I mean, they needed it and they deserved it. Coach Reese is, for my money, and I think the Dan Hurley signing, I think the Jim Fleming hire, I think the David Cox hire, I think these are all groundbreaking coaching hires that Thor Bjorn and the athletic department and the university deserve credit for. But I mean, there to a certain degree was success. Even football in the 90s had some pretty good years. If you look at women's basketball, what Tammy Reese has done in just 2 years is unheard of at the University of Rhode Island. I mean, we didn't go to the NCAA tournament. So, and I know Coach Reese's standards are a lot higher than she got, but she demands so much. And she's so respected and so connected both internationally and nationally that it's so easy to root for them now. And so easy for them to want to have success. And I mean, everybody but, and she was a great piece this year, Johanna Muze, who is a transfer from Washington State. They're back. They have a co-player of the year in Emmanuel Tahan. They have a second team all Atlanta 10 selection, MP Fapasi. Catherine Cairns was a freshman that was on the all rookie team. I mean, they are deep. They're well coached. They're likable. And next year, give them a full, healthy year. Yeah. They can challenge themselves in the non-conference a bit because they've already proved that they can win A10 games. I mean, this is going to be fun. And I should preface too, I'm not giving them any type of expectation. I don't think, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know where they're going to be in a year or two. But just women's basketball is a different type of basketball than men's in terms of recruiting, and they hit the international recruiting scene better than anybody. So I don't know what's coming next. I know to be successful, but I mean, this year, it sucks that they didn't win any hardware. They didn't come home with a trophy when they went down to Richmond, but they have, their standards are high, and I think they'll meet those expectations.
What do you think? What were your thoughts? What was going through your head when you saw that Tammy Reese was getting a 2-year extension on top of the contract she just signed last year?
I mean, that again is it's a smart move, and it's an investment move by the university. What you're doing is you're showing your fan base, you're showing your coaching staff, you're showing your players, and you're showing your entire university that, this is not going to be a situation where, or at least you're making the steps to not have her, bounce for a new job. Hey, she probably deserves it if there's interviews out there, because Tammy is just an all-star human being and an all-star coach. But just that shows her this is your kingdom. You got the keys. Yeah. We're fully behind you, and that's something that again, football. Football needs some more success, right? I'm not going to sit here and pretend like they've had a great run. No, the last 2 decades have been tough for football. But you can look back to the 80s and go, those were great teams. Those were great teams. Women's basketball has had some great teams, some great players. What Tammy Reese is about to do, and by giving her that contract extension, is showing her, stick around. This is your spot. And this year, the only thing that I wish we could have done, obviously it wasn't safe to, but fans, because women's basketball games, which are known for being silent, they would have had, not sellouts, obviously. I'm not going to sit here and be unrealistic, but they would have had a couple thousand people at home games because it is a likable group, coaching staff, and people want to be a part of that.
Oh yeah, well, because I remember the one women's basketball story I covered for the Cigar many moons ago in the dark ages. I covered, it was a preseason game. Yours truly, Mr. Nick gave me the story, and there was no one there. Might have been a few dozen people there, and then they've had the success, and there would have been tons of people there, and it would have definitely have helped them, but it is what it is. But URI's big win against Villanova. I'm not going to bullshit you. I don't pay attention much to the football. But I saw that, and it's, it's pretty good, similar to when they beat Delaware the season before.
Yes.
Having that happen and then seeing that result, and then obviously I'll get your thoughts about it afterwards. But what was that like for you to see them take that win after a not so great season last year?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Fleming is, and again, I it sounds like I'm being a homer, but it's just because they're really good humans. But Coach Fleming, I root for him and his program any chance that I can get. So I watched that game, and they'd turn the ball over, or they'd turn over on downs or something, or they had to punt the ball with like 10 minutes left. And I had a haircut coming up. I said, well, I shut my laptop. I said, I'll get in the car and just go. And then something hit me. I said, what? Same thing with Terry Lynch and Steve McDonald that do the radio call. I said, I haven't heard Steve and Terry now in like 500 days do a game. So I put it on again and I'm listening, and Steve McDonald says, and Rhode Island's within 3. And I went, what the hell? I just walked to my car. They had forced a 4th down stop for Villanova, and they'd marched down. They scored, and they were down 3 now with like 6 minutes left. And I said, that ain't something URI football does. This is going to be different. So I kept it on. I get all the way there. My barber's a good buddy of mine. I grew up with him. And I get in the barbershop chair. And at the time we've all been there before. I run out of LTE and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I can't even see the end of this game. So I said to him, Dustin, he's my barber. I said, you got Wi-Fi? Oh yeah, we got Wi-Fi. I'm sitting there in the barbershop chair. Luckily he likes me. I got my phone up like this while he's cutting my hair, and they won the game in overtime. And I just thought, again, this is something football usually doesn't do. It's a different feel. And back to that Delaware point, Nolan, which is a great point. That Delaware game is the same thing. You saw that happen. You kind of got this buzz. Again, I'm not going to sit here and put on high expectations and say, hey, undefeated. No. We take it one game at a time. But it's that for a school like Rhode Island that is building their team and building their program, and it's a harder job than a lot of people think. That's a huge, huge victory.
Where they go from here after this game to ensure that, they continue the success, because it was current last year, when they got or whatever it was 2 years ago when they got a lot of success, and then they kind of faltered off a little bit. But where do they go from here to ensure that they don't fall off the path?
Well, I think right now what they're going to do is they're going to prepare for Albany, and if I know Coach Fleming, that's literally his mantra right now. Is we're not getting ahead of the game. We are going to prepare for Albany. It's our second game of the season, and that's how you attack it. And I think for a school like Rhode Island, that's what you want right now. He had a great quote when they lost to James Madison last year, or in 2019, their last season, and to finish 2-10, and James Madison won the conference championship that game. And Coach Fleming in his post-game press conference said something that I think about a lot when it comes to any sport now. It's a comparison thing, but he had said, that's a group of men, pointing at the opposing locker room, that are fighting for a national championship. He said, we are a group of men that, as talented as we are, we're a couple, what's the word? Gritty guys that are fighting for a conference championship. And that's the difference right now, is that there's always teams in that conference that are fighting for bigger. But I think his mantra right now is one game at a time. Play this one. It's a different type of season this year. We're playing in the spring, and they're on the road again. So let's try to get a W and then come home. And I think they play 2 or 3 straight home games and try to build some momentum off of that.
A little switch to the professional leagues, I guess one could say. Cam Newton signing a 1-year deal to return back to the Patriots after an interesting season last year. Thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on them re-signing him back after a not so impressive season?
Yeah, I think, I just think they invested though around him. They got him 2 good tight ends, they got him some good wideouts. And I don't know, I just feel like they got to have something up their sleeve that's going to work, because you're right. Last year was a fishy year, but an incentive-based contract, so they're really not paying them that much, or as much as people are making it out to be. And hey, you give him another chance. And if he's the guy that's mentoring a young quarterback, maybe they're going to try something in the draft where he can be the guy that's mentoring, and he kind of knows his new role, where he'll probably be the starter, but there's a guy that's going to be waiting in the wings, so to speak. And when that guy's ready, he's going to get the start. That might be something Cam Newton's, excited for. He's betting on himself with an incentive-based deal, though, which is something that he can only control.
The NCAA tournament is right around the corner. NBA finals will be down the line in a month or two, and World Series is way down the motherfucking line. since the NCAA championship is coming up soon, who do you have winning it all?
I have the Gonzaga Bulldogs. They're too fast. They're too strong. They're too powerful. And they got a chip on their shoulder. Mark Few has been building and building and building. He went to a national championship a couple of years ago. He couldn't get it. I think this team's better. I think this team is fast. I think and to a certain degree, no, because everybody says, oh, they don't play a difficult schedule. Yeah, well, whoever they play in the first and second round, they're going to sweep. They're going to, stomp the guys. So their first challenge is going to be probably a Sweet 16 matchup, and then the Elite Eight, obviously, and so on and so forth. But then if you get to the Final Four, at that point, you've proven to yourself and to the country that you actually did belong as the number one team in the country the whole time, and then anything's possible. So I think they're really fast. I think they're really good. I think they're really deep, and I really well coached. So, and good coaching and good guard play wins in March.
If let's say they don't win, who else? Who would you say would be the next best to win it?
I mean, I'm high on Illinois. I'm high on Houston. I'm high on Oklahoma State as a 4 seed because they've kind of flipped a switch with Cade Cunningham. And again, they're all well-coached teams. Baylor obviously deserves credit. I'm not disregarding them, but I think they've had the national spotlight all year. Now they're kind of showing they're human, by losing in the Big 12 semifinals and losing down the stretch to Kansas. Doesn't mean they're not good. They're a top 5 team. They're one of the 7 teams that will probably win this thing, or that actually have a legitimate chance of winning this thing. But those are kind of some of the other favorites, I'd say.
Spring training for the MLB is going on right now. Obviously, the season's not starting for a little bit of time, but who's your pick to win it all this year? Who do you think?
The World Series?
Yeah.
That's a good one. I haven't really thought too much about baseball. I think the Cardinals got a lot better. I don't know if they're going to win the thing, but I think the Cardinals got a lot better. If it's much as I hate to say it, I think the Yankees are really good. I think the Yankees are really good. I think even Toronto got a lot better. I don't know. My Red Sox aren't going to do well. I can tell you that. The Dodgers just they haven't lost a step. They just won the World Series. They haven't lost anything. So they're going to be a favorite. They're going to be a piece. Milwaukee's pretty good. There's a lot. It's a very deep Major League Baseball the last couple of years, and I think that's going to be the same narrative and storyline.
My final thing I'm going to ask, I'll ask and then I'll let you go. There's been a long-standing man in NBA basketball history. He's the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs, Greg Popovich. Last year, they lost their streak of making consecutive playoffs. And this year, I think they're doing a little bit better. Greg Popovich, for you being a fan of sports and a professional broadcaster and whatnot, when do you think he'll retire? Because obviously he's not getting any younger. And obviously, they're not going to be as they were in the 2000s with the big 3 that they had.
Well, I think, you kind of hinted at it. He's going to retire. He won't get fired, which is what he deserves and respect and the respect that he deserves. So to me, there's like these unwritten rules in both college and professional sports that sometimes you run your course, you get old, you retire, but you can't get fired. So he's in a weird middle ground where he can coach as long as he wants. And if he really believes that he doesn't want to retire, so he's going to get, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he just lost his wife too a couple years ago. So I don't want to get super personal because I don't know anything about him. I would, he wouldn't know me if he walked in this room right now, but there is a side of it that maybe this is just what he really loves to do. And, and that when you have demanded that respect and you've proved it with 5 championships, and you've had a lot of stuff going on in your life that you can kind of look at now and, hey, this is a pretty good thing that has kept me healthy, despite some shit that I'm going through. I think that's important. So he gets to pick, the end of his course.
Do you think Becky Hammond would take over and once he retires?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. She's proven it. She's coached their the summer league team.
Yeah.
I think that's she's a trailblazer, metaphorically, obviously, because she doesn't coach the Trailblazers. She coaches the Spurs. But she's and I know listen, you're working with Greg Popovich. I don't care who you are. You work with Greg Popovich, and you're one of his top trusted assistants.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a huge deal. I think it's a huge deal.
It's definitely something similar to, the Marlins. No, I don't say Marlins. Well, yeah, Marlins or whatever the hell Miami goes by nowadays. With hiring the whatever her name is to be the GM or whatever position it was, having enough trust into that
very
team,
similar.
Do it. But hey, this is I seriously though, in all sincerity, from the deepest crevice of my heart, I want to thank you for helping me out in doing this. Someone like yourself, you don't have most people like yourself wouldn't take the time out or have to do something like this, and you're gladly taking the time out instead of going out and living your life wherever you are currently. It means a great deal, saying as I don't want to sow gas or anything and say I look up or anything like that or praise to you, whatever, but I sincerely, the top of the heap, as one would say, what the goal you want to strive to be and the quality of work you do. So, to be able to have someone like yourself end this, season of this show means a great deal. And hopefully down the line, we can do this again and it'll be great. But no, I want to thank you, but I'll leave it at that so you can go on and, get on with the rest of your day. But no, thank you for doing this. So it means a great deal.
Nolan, please, anything. I mean, you got my number now. I'm glad I could do this. Send me the link. I'll make sure to share it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And if there's anything I can do for you, you let me know. I can't guarantee I can do it, but please at least ask.
Hey everyone, Nolan Dog here. If you like what you just watched, leave a like down below. Click the subscribe button, then turn the bell notification button. And what you can do next is then click that share button so you can share this YouTube version with your friends and family and let them know, hey, what the fuck are you doing? You're not watching this great podcast. Now, if you also liked what you listened to, and if you're using a streaming service such as Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, Google Play, all those other grand ones, click that heart button to leave a like. Follow the podcast. It's not subscribe, unfortunately. Click that bell notification button so when you're listening to music, whoever it may be, you get a notification, or you're just on your phone using a different application, you get a notification saying, hey, it's a new fucking episode of the podcast. And also, just as crucial as the prior one, if you're viewing it, listening, click the arrow button to the right, I guess it would be, and share with your friends and family if they use the same audio platform or a different one, so you can tell them, hey, listen, this is also available on audio podcast streaming services. If you would like to know other news and updates in regards to, actually not if you would like to know, you should follow the Instagram, the Twitter. It's on Instagram, it's ITM Studios Official, no caps. And then on Twitter, it's Real ITM Studios. The R is capital. Then I believe the A and L are capital. And then S is capital. No. It's capital R, E, lowercase E, A, capital L, then capital TIM, S, then lowercase, then TUDIOS, Successful Studios, and that's what it is there. News, updates, and other information regarding the podcast on there. Stay up to date. Like I said, subscribe, follow, share, turn notifications, share all that grand stuff. Leave a like, smash the like button because you need to bring it up. Do that, and I'll catch you next week for another edition of the show. Take care.
Mm.